In a valley cradled by mist-shrouded mountains, there lived a young dragon named Tharix. Unlike his siblings, whose wings carried them effortlessly across the sky, Tharix had never flown. His wings were strong, but every time he tried to take off, fear would grip him. The ground was safe. The sky was wild and uncertain. Tharix would often watch his brothers and sisters soar through the clouds, their scales catching the sunlight in shimmering hues. His heart ached with longing as he imagined the wind rushing past his face and the freedom of the open sky. "Why don't you fly?" Tharix, his sister Lyra asked one day, landing beside him. Her emerald green wings folded neatly as she tilted her head. "You are strong enough. What's stopping you?" Tharix shuffled his claws in the dirt. "What if I fall? What if I can't control my wings?" "The sky, it's so big, Lyra." Lyra smiled gently. "The sky is big, but it welcomes all who dare to try. You don't have to fly perfectly the first time." But Tharix shook his head and retreated to his cave. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of umber and violet, Tharix stood at the edge of the cliff that overlooked the valley. He stretched his wings, feeling the cool evening breeze against the membrane. A small bird perched nearby chirped a sweet tune, as if encouraging him. "I can do this," he muttered to himself. One leap. Just one. Before he could gather his courage, a sudden cry pierced the air. Looking up, he saw a fledgling griffon struggling to stay aloft, its tiny wings flapping desperately. A gust of wind sent it spiraling downward toward the jagged rocks below. Without thinking, Tharix leapt from the cliff. His wings snapped open, catching the air. For a moment, he faltered, his heart pounding in panic as he began to plummet. But then instinct took over. He tilted his wings, catching an updraft, and surged forward. The wind roared in his ears as he closed the distance to the falling griffon. "I've got you," he growled, reaching out with his claws. He grabbed the griffon gently and held it close, his wings beating furiously as he fought to stabilize them both. The muscles in his wings burned, but he refused to let go. Slowly, Tharix steadied his flight. He glided toward a soft patch of grass in the valley below and landed with a thud, his heart racing. The griffon chirped weakly but seemed unharmed. "You are safe now," Tharix whispered, setting the little creature down. It looked up at him with bright eyes, then flapped its tiny wings and took off into the sky once more. As Tharix watched the griffon disappear into the clouds, a realization dawned on him. He had flown. Not perfectly, not gracefully, but he had done it. The fear that had kept him grounded seemed smaller now, overshadowed by the thrill of the flight and the joy of saving another. The next morning, Tharix returned to the cliff. This time, there was no hesitation. With a powerful leap, he launched himself into the air. The wind embraced him, and his wings moved in perfect harmony with the currents. He climbed higher and higher, the valley growing smaller beneath him. Tharix roared with exhilaration, his voice echoing through the mountains. The sky was no longer a place of fear, but a home, a boundless realm of freedom and possibility. From that day on, Tharix soared with his siblings, his wings shining brightly in the sunlight. And whenever he saw another creature hesitating at the edge of a leap, he would smile and say, "The sky is big, but it welcomes all who dare to try."